gonna play more Planetarian. I changed it to the low latency. So, hi Genjutsu-sama, hi Kit. So the lag should be a lot better this stream because I fixed that. Hi Sigmar, hi Iris. I had a horrifying experience just not that long ago. Hi Alco. Where I walked past my, like, by where my door is, where my shoes are by the door, and my cat was attacking something that was in my shoes, and I looked, and there was a house centipede in there, in my shoes, and so now I'm terrified to ever put on my shoes ever again, because I hate those creatures. They're so scary to me. It's definitely better. It really is. It's a lot better. Yesterday it felt like it was like actual minutes passing before. Oh no. It was horrifying. I put in my debut, I remember in my debut, in my dislikes, I put house centipedes because I think they're the worst bugs. And since my debut, I've seen like 3 in my house. Why? It's just a little friend. I'm okay with a lot of other bugs, but house centipedes, I hate them. Like, I guess they don't have them anywhere, but if you look everywhere, but if you look up house centipede, you'll see what I'm talking about. They don't, like, I feel like people have one idea of a centipede in mind when they think of one, and a house centipede looks even more horrifying in my opinion. I think all centipedes are terrifying. I do agree, Genjutsu-sama. House centipedes are even more terrifying. They're even more terrifying than terrifying. So I don't know if I'm ever gonna put those shoes on again. Also, what was I? Oh yeah. So, yesterday when I streamed this, all centipedes are horrible. I agree. Yesterday when I streamed this, since I spent a lot of time talking, besides just playing the game, I was trying to see in general how much time I took to get to the part I was at and how much was in the game. So I went on a no talking playthrough of the game, and I skipped forward to the part where we left off at, and we're not really that far in, so I don't know if this is gonna be a 3-stream thing or not, because I should have gotten a lot further if I wasn't talking so much, but if I wasn't talking, then it wouldn't be as entertaining if I was just reading without talking. Because most days I can't stream past 11:30 because I have to sleep to go to work, and if I stop streaming at 11:30, that gives me just enough time to take a shower and get ready for bed and then go to sleep so I can wake up and go straight to work. So this I might end up streaming this tomorrow too. We'll see how far we get today. I kind of get it, but for me it's earwigs. I've heard of them, but I've never seen them, so I'm gonna actually look those up right now. Earwig. I've heard people say that, but I don't know. Ew! Oh no! Oh god! I don't like that creature at all! Ah! That was horrific! You don't think you want to do that? That was it was horrible. It's fine. We love the Maggie VI. 3 or 4 streams is fine. I'm fine with more streams. You know, I always feel a little insecure about how Oh, hi, Sazzy Time. I always feel a little insecure about how all these games that aren't supposed to take very long whenever I look them up take me so much longer when I stream them. But I guess that's probably just because I talk to chat and the people who are writing down how long a game takes aren't talking to a chat room, right? They're playing it by themselves and then writing how long it took. So I guess it's fine for me to take longer. Also, guys, on our last stream, I got a copyright claim. But it still lets me keep up with the video. I guess now that they just might put ads on it, but I don't get, like, it's like revenue that the game developers get, I guess. So, and I actually looked in quite a few of my streams actually have that. So that was really shocking to me. So that's why I have my BGM on right now instead of the game music. I'm going to switch it to the game music. I'll switch it now that I'm talking. But during the beginning part of the stream, before I was talking, I didn't want to have the game on music on because I was worried about getting another copyright. From what stream? Yesterday's. It was this game. I thought, well, I think it might be fine because I'm talking over the music now. But it was the music. Damn, what was it about? It was the music. So it says that if I was a YouTube partner, I wouldn't be able to get revenue from that stream. But I'm not a partner, so it doesn't really affect me. It just means that now if you watch that stream back, you might get ads on it. And I have copyright on some of my Deltarune streams I saw. And my last Omori stream got a copyright claim, and I'm guessing it's because of the ending songs, maybe? But all of them you can still watch. They just will put ads on it now, and if I ever get monetized, I won't be able to make money off of those ones. It's very strange, isn't it? How that works? At least they didn't get taken down. Okay, makes sense as the music was playing in the beginning. Yeah, so that's why I played my BGM instead in the beginning, and now I'm gonna try to talk over it. I'm gonna just be a chatterbox, like the robot in this game. Speaking of, let's load up the game now. Oh yeah, I'm gonna turn off the voice so I can voice it now. I just drank some water. Mr. Customer, may I ask you a question? What? It's the grumpy customer and the customer service robot. I remember. What does it feel like to shed tears? Don't worry about your gameplay duration compared to the others. Your playthroughs are more fun since you talk with chat anyway. Oh, thanks. Sometimes I feel like I wonder, can you guys hear? In the background, my cat is scratching in the litter box. I don't know if you heard that. Sorry, but I saw a post on Twitter where someone was like, I hate, like, they were like annoyed about people talking to chat too much. I was like, I talked to chat the whole stream, but but I don't know. I have more fun if I talk to chat. Could it hear it? Okay. What does it feel like to shed tears? Yeah, we're gonna finally climb the cliff. I didn't notice the sound. Okay. Sometimes my cat makes noises in the background. I always don't know if people hear it. Who knows? I can't remember when I last cried. I understand that tears are things that flow involuntarily in times of sorrow and pain, but that's exactly how it is. Is that so? The only reason I watch Maggie's for speedrunning strat. How did you show up here? I don't think I've ever done speedrunning strat. I think you're lost. Her voice trailed off at the end. She was probably cocking her head doubtfully again. I do not know how to put this, but I would very much like to be able to shed tears. As I am a bargain edition model, I do not have that functionality. What? Personally, I enjoy it more when the streamer talks to chat, but to each their own. I was kind of shocked when I saw that post. I was like a little insecure about my own streams when I read that. I was like, that's all I do. That was just their preference anyway. Yeah, that's true. Everyone likes different streamers. The whole point of streaming is to have people to talk to since it's live, though. That's kind of what I thought. Just joking, but don't feel bad about taking longer. Thanks. It's not just a good thing anyways. Is that really so? Yeah, it isn't. Her own duties finished, she refused to leave no, to be more accurate, her friend, the projector's side. Since she's a robot, can she talk to the projector? She was just as talkative as ever, but by this point I had grown accustomed to it. I had learned that the aggregate amount of conversation could be drastically shortened if I simply gave some responses to every important conversational point rather than ignoring her. It was the same way that one might play a companion to an old man who had grown fond of talking. Mr. Customer, shouldn't we be affixing the light bulbs for the fixed star balls soon? We're not ready for that yet, just wait a bit longer. Is that so? As a consequence of the restoration of electrical current in the machine, I had learned that of the 4 bulbs, only 2 were still functional. Those 2 bulbs would have to suffice for the projection. In other words, spares for them did not exist anywhere on this world. Now that the electricity to the projector had been restored, if during these repairs I touched a tool to the wrong place and caused a short, that would be the end of both the repair and me. Because I knew this, I was putting on the finishing touches very slowly. Move the latitude axis upward little by little. Do it slowly. Yes, sir. For your safety, please evacuate from the radius of revolution, she replied with an earnest and professional tone. I got down onto the ground and leaned on the projector pedestal that the stepladder stood against. The manual console turned out not to be necessary in the operation of the projector after all. A thick communication cable stretched forth from the electrical operations panel located at the base of the machine's scaffolding. As she pulled on it, it wriggled on the floor, and after it coiled upon itself twice, it was interfaced with the connector located in her left ear. In other words, she and the projector were now connected by wire. Can they talk to each other now? She calls it Miss Jenna. Does that mean she can talk to it? Rather than being bizarre, it felt more like some kind of ritual lost in time. According to her, this was an emergency measure that I am ashamed to have to resort to, or something. As if to show off her embarrassment, her long information ribbon flashed through a sequence of highly exaggerated warning colors. While ordinarily she would be able to control the projector using RF signaling, just as she did with the air conditioning and the lighting, the projector's wireless receiver was completely broken and beyond my ability to repair. I'm clear. Go ahead. Affirmative. Your safety has been confirmed. I will commence moving the projector now. She's calling it the projector, not Miss Jenna. The old-style motor began to buzz like a horsefly on the verge of death. At the same time, the bearings creaked and the projector itself moved slightly. However, nothing else happened. The smell of oil began to waft from the overheating engine, which was revving in vain to try to move the projector. Stop it! Affirmative, the motor is now off. The horsefly-like buzzing died away and silence washed back into the room. I got back on the stepladder and took another look. The waste heat radiating from the gearbox cover warmed my cheeks. Even after all I did, it still won't move, huh? What I knew was that there was no flaw in the motor itself. That said, whether the problem lay in too much friction on the main shaft, or in improperly engaged gears in the gearbox, or in some other kind of intractable problem, as I dug through my very limited knowledge base about this kind of thing, I could feel her eyes upon me. Mr. Customer, may I ask you a question? What is it? Might there be an estimated time of completion for the repairs on Miss Jenna? Who knows? I can't even venture a guess. Do you think we will be in time for tomorrow's 11 o'clock projection? I don't know. Pray to God if you like. Which God should I pray to, then? As she very naturally reeled off this response, I stopped mid-motion. What did you say? For instance, the ancient Greek gods, Zeus, Apollo, Hermes, Artemis, Demeter, Poseidon. She continued this meandering litany like a phonetic cipher from another world. Time to bonk it? Bonk? Some of these names were familiar to me. Gaia and Persephone were the names of 2 fortress colonies long ago, and Atropos and Megara, I don't even know those ones, were the nicknames of the heavy mobile artillery platforms used to destroy them. You sure know a lot. Thank you very much. As I am a robot, recalling data is one of my strong points, she said, looking truly delighted. However, every once in a while we get a customer who knows more about the stars than even I do. Her incessant praise of people was completely void of sarcasm. Bonk the projector. Age-old way of fixing things. That's what I would probably do. Just bonk it till it works, because I have no idea how to fix it. I would have no idea. Oh wait, but aren't they just trying to get the light bulbs changed? Or is there other things? No, they're doing other things too, aren't they? Yeah. I can change a light bulb, but I can't do anything else. I'll change the light bulb and then bonk it. Bonk. Well then, which god would it be best for me to pray to? Just pick whatever one you like best. Affirmative. In that case, I shall pray to Dionysus. So if she has the god she likes best, then she is sentient, right? 'Cause she's able to choose what she likes. Who the hell is that? Who the hell is Dionysus? Dionysus was the god of wine and fertility, and he is often better known by his Roman name, Bacchus. Wine and fertility, huh? That did not sound bad at all, but even if one were to pray long and hard, the divine favor of the gods was just a bit hard to come by in this day and age. I felt that surely this god would be most to your liking, Mr. Customer, she added with a triumphant look on her face. It seemed that I had been registered in her database as a severe alcoholic. Well, you're not too far off. She looked gently at me as I made a wry expression, and then a smile that radiated nothing but innocence floated up to her face. Pray to your god, not to mine. My god? The god of robots. If there are as many gods as you say, then surely at least one of them must be yours. She quickly turned serious. Eyes wide open, she seemed to think about something for a while, and then finally she gave me a very familiar response. I cannot find the information you have requested in my base databases or in my acclimated databases. Accumulated, not acclimated. I see, too bad. Party god. Dionysus is the party god. I know the names of some of the Greek gods, but I don't know a lot of what they did. Has this god been added to the pantheon very recently? If that is the case, then it is quite possible that the change might not be reflected in my databases. My sincerest apologies. The gorgeous litany of the names of the gods were, to her, the same as a checklist of stockpiled parts. Anyway, Mr. Customer, I have been thinking about this, but do you not think it might be fun to install the fixed starlight bulb soon? It seemed that she had been born with this enthusiasm close to zealotry for her professional duties. I recently remember the names more since I recently played Hades. That was one that was on my list. My list of games. I do want to play that. Ever since I hadn't heard of it when I think it was you, Kit, mentioned it originally in a stream a long time ago that I did. And then I put it on my list of games to play. But then ever since I put it on that list, I've been seeing everybody talk about it. It's like, I guess, I don't remember what it's called, but there's like a thing where like, after you hear about something, suddenly it seems like everybody's talking about the thing, but it's actually just because now you're actually paying attention, because now you know what it is. As I stood there dumbfounded, she gracefully bent her hips and picked up one of the light bulbs on the floor. She hugged it to her chest and then moved toward me. As she walked toward me, the cable connected to her writhed about on the floor like a python. I became very worried that the gyrating cable might damage the other light bulbs. I think I only know of Dionysus from SMT Strange Journey. SMT. Is that Shin Megami Tensei? It's really popular. It's pretty good, but it's hard. Oh. Hard games. Well, I should try to play it anyways. Don't walk about with that cable attached to you. Sit where you are until I call you. Affirmative. She obediently bowed her head in assent, stopped walking, and then sat down in a nearby chair, and to my everlasting satisfaction, she said no more for a little while. The sounds of me grappling with the gearbox and the clinking of tools were the only things that could be heard in the room for a time. But eventually she opened her mouth. I had the same thing happen to me all the time too, except for in the case of Hades. All my friends talked about it on Twitter, which got me interested to play. Yeah, if my friends or people that I'm following online are talking a lot about something, then I'll probably remember it. But eventually she opened her mouth. Whoa, CG. That light bulb is huge! Something like this occurred some time ago. It's very pretty. Maintenance mode. What is it this time around? One of our previous projections focused on the heavens of myth. We had all decided beforehand that the topic of the projection would be heaven, all right, but... She continued her nostalgic musing as she hugged the light bulb close in an embrace. When I asked if there was a heaven for robots too, everybody in the staff said that yes, of course there was one. Everybody said that the heaven of robots was this wonderful place where parts did not break down or wear out, software did not crash, and batteries never ran dry. They said that in the heaven of robots... My cat is playing with plastic. She's going, oh. Really? I had to pet my cat. She was going, oh. I don't know if you heard it. They said that in the heaven of robots, everything that a robot wished for would come true. I see. So they were cracking such frivolous jokes while they cursed the lack of customers and sipped steaming hot coffee. It's either a gigantic light bulb or she's tiny. Maybe the apocalypse made everybody, including robots, tiny and turned the world really small, except for the light bulbs. I usually tend to get more disinterested as I see more people talk about something, especially if they flat out tell me I should play / read / watch it. It gets annoying if people tell you that, like, constantly. Like, if people say it to me, like, a few times, or if I just see something about it, it's fine. But, like, if the same person, like, every day is like, can you watch this? It's like, you won't stop talking about it. Except I know that I'm usually the one doing that, and I'm usually doing that to Amiko because I'll play something and it'll be really good and then I won't stop telling her to do it. So usually I'm the one who's being annoying. There must have been many scenes like this in these ruins, and of course she must have joined in on these conversations. No doubt she had learned many of her characteristic phrases and stereotyped professional jargon, the trifling contradiction in her knowledge base, and her absolutely absurd patterns of action from her human coworkers. The god of robots lives in the heaven of robots. Remember this. Oh, I said that. I said that more in her voice than in my character's voice. Affirmative. Critical data registered. She replied as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Or shall we say, her pattern of conversation with me had finally been established. Now that I had gotten used to it, it really wasn't so bad. Looking down at the light bulb held against her chest, she again fell silent for a little while. As she did this, she somehow looked far, far older than the age that she had been constructed to look. Mr. Customer, may I ask a question? Sure, what is it? Have you ever prayed to God? No, well, I may certainly have prayed, but I never expected anything. Is that so? And you? Well, there's something that I would like to ask the god of robots for. For the projector to be fixed, you mean? No, after all, you are taking care of that wish even without my having to pray for it, Mr. Customer. I almost burst into laughter at the way that she was speaking of it as if it were already a done deal. Ha ha ha, finally getting a taste of your own medicine. For me, I'm just not interested in people's recommendation unless I know they know their stuff. I guess that's true too. I guess it depends on who gives you the recommendation. Then what will you pray for? Well, it is about heaven. But just as she mouthed these words, she instantly halted. What is it? I'm sorry to bother you, but in 3 minutes it will become 12 o'clock a.m. and as per protocol, I will switch into sleep mode. It's already that late? That meant that I had been at work for 5 hours already since she had returned to the projection room. As I stretched while standing atop the stepladder, she said, still seated, Activation out of sleep mode will occur at 9 a.m. Good night until then. Very well, good night. Hey, wait, are you going to sleep still hugging that thing? She was indeed still hugging the fixed starlight bulb to her chest. She continued to smile as if she had nothing to worry about in the whole world. And just like that, she closed her eyes. Her information ribbon slowly faded, denoting the fact that she was in hibernation mode. And once again, I was the only thing that stirred in this planetarium. Falling asleep is the only thing she excels at, huh? Even though there was no way she could have heard me, I could have sworn that I saw her quirking her lips in laughter. This airtight room bathed by the air conditioning. Its operation, which only occurred but a single week per year. I had no way of understanding whether it was the machinations of fate or the vagaries of random chance that had landed me here at this time. There were a few rumors that I could recall about robots. Immediately following the outbreak of the war, a forced stop signal was issued over all RF channels that caused most robots to cease functioning altogether. The fear was probably that someone would compromise the robot's software and subsequently turn them into weapons. What if that happens to her? What if someone finds out she's here? The outer shell of a robot was nothing but a cluster of organic material and precision electronics. These things left standing where they stopped, no matter whether it was indoors or outdoors, all deteriorated into junk in a matter of years. In other words, the very fact that she was still functional in this day and age was something close to a miracle. Had she been extremely lucky, or had she been extremely unfortunate? I gently gazed at her sleeping face. This robot, who could go from hard worker to mindless chatterbox and nothing flat, was now sleeping without even dreaming. She had a disarming, peaceful smile on her face while holding that large light bulb close to her chest. It looked to me like she was embracing the very stars themselves. Aww. I very carefully ensconced the fixed starlight bulb in its socket, closed the outer casing, and then screwed the assembly down. With this, my repairs were finally at an end. It had already been 3 days since I had first set foot in this place. She was standing alone in the reception area, accompanied only by uninterrupted sheets of rain. Oh no, I just had a bad thought on what's going to happen. I've had a few bad thoughts of the potential things that could happen, and I'm like, I really hope that they don't, but it's probably going to happen. There's probably going to be something sad happening. I'm finished. When I called out to her, she turned her whole body around to face me as per usual. Are you saying that you have completed your repairs on Miss Jenna? Yeah, I've done all I can. I've done all I can, I answered thus. The projector was now waiting merely for the light bulbs to be lit. I had polished all the moving shafts, lenses, light bulbs, and auxiliary projection devices, swapped out worn parts for newer ones, reassembled everything, and made careful adjustments. Some of the machinery under electronic control had decayed beyond the point of repair, but that fact did not present an obstacle to the projection itself. There was nothing I could do beyond this. She stared for a little while at me, her face half in doubt. It was almost as if she were letting out a breath that she had been holding for a very long time. I am very happy, and I think Miss Jenna is very glad as well. On behalf of all the staff of our establishment, I offer you our humblest gratitude. Thank you so very much. She courteously clasped both hands together and bowed deeply towards me. You don't have to thank me, just show me the stars already. Yes, sir. The next projection will start in 13 minutes. Please feel free to walk in and take a seat while you wait, she said clearly, and then turned from her vantage point at the entranceway to face an information podium. All projections have currently been postponed. She lifted away a placard that had legend written on it and moved it back to the side of the reception desk. I stretched my back and then stared out of the entranceway into a world made hazy by the rain. And then I realized just what it was she was planning on doing. Trying to attract customers? Yes, it's currently 4:47 p.m. and there are still 3 minutes left before admissions for this projection must end. I keep stumbling over my words. I almost said I keep stumbling over my words today, but I do that every single time I ever have to read anything in any game ever. To tell you the truth, we make a lot of money on rainy days like this. The pattern on her ribbon changed. Golden stars and letters danced across a cerulean background that matched her uniform quite well. This was probably the best and most professional of her fashions. She looked at me, smiled somewhat shyly, and then turned to face the rain once more. Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. Why don't you come to the planetarium? I leaned against the wall for a little while and simply listened to her. Her volume and her intonation were utterly unchanged from her everyday practice runs. But on this very day, she was mouthing those words with utmost and terribly genuine pride in order to draw in the people who might be passing by. Her voice resounded like a requiem mass through the abyss of streets upon which human feet would never again tread. Just how many facial expressions did the engineers and artisans who had designed her endow her with? Right now, her eyes were shining with radiance, and she looked to be blushing slightly. Welcome, and thank you for coming to Flowercrest Department Store's rooftop planetarium today. My name is Hoshino Yumemi, and I am a member of the staff of the institution. Before the projection begins, I would like to tell you a few important things. Noises made within the dome. I've already heard this, so leave it out. No, I cannot. As it is part of my professional duties, I cannot admit it, she calmly declared, unperturbed by the jeering of her audience. For someone who manipulated the visitor count and the projector program as she pleased, she was a stickler about the strangest things. Fine, do as you please. Thank you very much. Then once again, I would like to tell you a few important things. Noises made within the dorm echo terribly, so since it would pose an annoyance to the other customers. After her explanations were finally finished, she took a breath. Well then, at last I will introduce a most important partner who will take you all into the world of the stars. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Miss Jenna! Determined not to be defeated by her jubilant voice, I clapped with all my might. For several seconds after the applause had stopped, she walked in the aisle along the guest seating, and then she said, To tell you the truth, Miss Jenna is the name of this machine. She must have put on the skit many thousands of times before, yet she performed it as if she were truly enjoying it. And now, Miss Jenna will greet all of you. The motor quietly began to make reassuring noises. The latitude axis that had given me so much trouble up until the very end of repairs began operating smoothly. It was as if the projector itself was bowing down to her, as if it were a wild mythical beast tamed by the touch of a pure virgin. Both she and the projector seemed to be very happy to be operating under proper procedure after 30 long years. Now it's working, Miss Jenna. I'm so excited to see the stars! Now then, as of today, we have had 2,497,290 visitors to our planetarium since we first opened. On behalf of all the staff of our establishment, I offer you our humblest gratitude. In commemoration of the special day, we have prepared a special projection. We hope that you will all enjoy it. This is so exciting. One fine autumn day, it had been raining non-stop. Rainy days are boring, and washing clothes is futile because you cannot dry them. Even a robot like me sometimes gets down on days like this. But please be at ease. Inside a planetarium, we can summon the sun whenever we wish. A round disk rose alone in the southwest sky. This is the sun. Although she had introduced it with great pride, it just looked like an extremely dim orange spot to me. I probably should have polished those lenses more carefully. As I pondered on this, the motor for the daily motion axis was activated. And now the sun slowly sets in the western sky. The sun glided obliquely on top of the screen of the dome, finally disappearing behind the horizon. The interior lights slowly grew dimmer and dimmer. Here is the first celestial body to grace our night sky. Although we sometimes call it the evening star, this would actually be the planet Venus. The entire western sky was now aglow in the reddish violet of sunset. From the mists of that tableau, a brilliant pinpoint of light stabbed into my eyes like a needle. As the fixed star balls acted in concert, a yellow light coalesced from the countless lenses in both balls. The fixed star balls had been activated without a hitch. As the evening progresses, the sky becomes darker, bit by bit by bit. This is our signal to go back home and continue playing with our friends some other day. At last, the curtain of night slowly falls over the vicinity. Yay! We got to see the stars! I couldn't believe my eyes. I could only think that the projector's condition had become so bad that it had undergone catastrophic failure. Pinpoints of silver light, like so many grains of sand, were scattered all over the dome as if they had been there since the very beginning, twinkling in silence. Some were bright, some were dark. Others were red, and others were yellow. An eternity of stars, some that seemed to fall, some as if they burned, some like gold dust, and some like hundreds of jewels. I had heard stories of what the starry sky had looked like before the advent of the war and the rain, but I could never in my wildest dreams had conjured up the spectacle that was presenting itself before my very eyes. I can't even imagine being like, the sky is such a pretty thing, and I love to stare at the sky. I'm like the type of person who, whenever I go outside, I just always stare at the sky, especially if it's nighttime, and I just feel like it's very sad to be able to have spent your entire life without even being able to see the stars, and I feel like it must be amazing to actually be able to see them. This is the starry sky at 8 p.m. tonight, she proclaimed proudly. It is impossible to see this many stars unless one goes to the peak of a tall mountain with very pure air. The protagonist has never seen the stars, right? Yeah. It seems like a very sad thing. I've never seen the stars before. I like to just like, when I lived in my hometown, which is a really small town, Amiko and I a lot of times in the middle of the night would walk to the school's football field, and we would just lay down and stare at the stars because they're so pretty. We both love stars. Yeah, I could relate this experience to seeing a bunch of fireflies for the first time. Oh, I love fireflies. They're really pretty. That which is crossing the ceiling right now is the Milky Way. It may look like smoke, but in actuality, it is an entire galaxy of little stars. Yeah, the sky is amazing. The thought that each star is the sun is mind-blowing to me. Yeah, it's just like when you just stare at the sky, you like, or at least I don't know, but I guess I can't speak for everybody else. But whenever I stare at the sky, it's like amazing because it reminds me of how like small I am in comparison to the rest of the world, you know? Men of antiquity looked up at the spectacle and imagined that there is milk flowing in the sky, and thus was born the name that we know it by today. Sure enough, I saw a dim white band in the midst of the jet black, as if someone had thrown a fishing net over the sky. Her voice continued to stream through the river of the heavens. Now, would you please focus your attention on the highest star, the one set at the ceiling of the sky? That is Deneb, the first magnitude star of the constellation Cygnus. Isn't your Twitter emoji a thingy like stars in a rose, right? Yeah. I picked those because I like stars, and I picked it's like a wilting rose is the other emoji, and I picked that because it looks gothic. It's like a gothic dead rose. Deneb, Altair, Vega. This is reminding me of Bakemonogatari when they go and they look at the stars and they say all these names. I feel like I know the names of a lot of the stars because of anime. And the magnificent triangle that they comprise together. And connecting the dim stars in the sky were so many constellations. Cygnus, Aquilia, Lyra. These are all constellations of summer. Our existence does seem almost microscopic compared to the stars. Yeah. You stare up in there and it feels like you could just fall into the sky. A shining bright star next to a dead rose. Beautiful. It is beautiful. Beautiful dead roses. Although today has been a very chilly day, if you turn your eyes upward toward the night sky, you can still find these final traces of summer. Now then, shall we turn our attention to the constellations of autumn? Her commentary began to shift over to the autumn stars. Ha ha ha! I kept forgetting you like gothic stuff. You're just so dorky cute. Ha ha ha! I'm a dorky goth. I mean, look at my outfit. My outfit is goth. This is goth. Oh wait, did I disappear? Oh, chat is in my face now. Did I disappear behind the game when I pulled myself over the game, or do I go over it? Oh, I go over it. Okay. My outfit is gothic. I am a goth. The comet of falling towards the sky reminded me of a movie called Petema Inverted, a really good anime movie. I'll write it down. Since Amiko and I today is the first day of our no YouTube or social media. Well, we're allowed to use it if it's for VTubing purposes, but other than that, we're not supposed to, or we're trying to not go on YouTube or social media. So I'm gonna have a lot of free time, so I might just watch that movie. Here, I'm gonna write that down. Petema Inverted. And yesterday someone mentioned Kobato, so I'm going to write that down too so I don't forget it, because I also want to watch that. I'm just thinking it's a night theme. I guess it is a night theme, but it's also... I think... am I a goth or am I a poser? Do you guys think that? Do you think I'm a goth or do you think I'm a poser? I'm a true goth, okay? It might be gothic without that hood. That is more cute than gothic. Oh no. Does the hood make me a poser? Her commentary began to shift over to the autumn stars. I sank back in my chair and from time to time surveyed my surroundings. I did so because I felt that surely if I were to continue looking up at those stars, my own spirit would be sucked into that immaterial sky. See, that's what I was saying. A true goth? Thank you. I'm not a poser. It seemed that the projector was in excellent condition after all. I like to think that I'm just ignorant of goths instead of you not being a goth. Ha ha ha. Yeah, if anyone says that I'm not a goth, it's them who are wrong. Even if everyone in the world tries to say I'm not a goth, all of them just don't know enough. That's just what I'll tell myself. As bulky and as Implaceable. Is that implaceable or implacable? Implaceable? Probably implaceable, right? Maggie, Goth Pie, Adana. Goth Pie, that's what type of bird I am. As bulky and as implaceable as the Titan Atlas, who carried the world on his back, the projector slowly allowed its fixed star balls to rotate in place. The winged horse, Pegasus. The chained princess, Andromeda. The kind and beautiful Princess Andromeda told her father, the king of Ethiopia, that, at this rate, the kingdom of Ethiopia will be destroyed, and consented to become a sacrificial victim. I didn't know this story. She launched into the recitation of ancient myths without hesitation or stuttering. A vast monster rapidly approached her from the sea. Giving herself over to inevitable death, Princess Andromeda did not struggle with her chains. She had resigned herself to being eaten alive. But in her mind, she was screaming, "Somebody, somebody, save me!" It was then when, as I raised myself in my chair a bit, I could see small shadows clinging close to the projector. As she talked, she tugged on her interface cable gently with her arms, as if it were indeed a chain imprisoning her, regardless of the fact that usually probably nobody noticed. Right now, in this very world, she was an omnipotent storyteller, and the stars were her little garden. Oh, that's a nice way to think about the stars. The princesses, heroes, monsters, and gods, all of them bowed down to her reverently, playing their individual parts in the unfolding drama with absolute obedience. I mean, goth is just a label, and as long as you feel comfortable with the label, it's fine. And gatekeepers are kind of cringe. Thank you. I feel like goth versus poser used to be such a big thing, like the early 2000s. And I think it's a very entertaining concept. I don't know if people really call people posers anymore. Do they? Are you a magpie or crow? I always thought you were a magpie because of Maggie. I'm a magpie. Yeah, I'm a magpie. All of them bowed down to her. Oh, I already read that. And thus did Andromeda and Perseus become constellations set in the autumn sky where they continue to live today. The story was over. As if to allow what she had just said to sink into the minds of those in the audience, she fell silent for a few seconds. The soft starlight flooded down upon her pale cheeks as if by the design of time itself. Now that we have concluded our tour of the constellations, let us now turn to our commemorative projection. I feel like I always stumble on the word commemorative. She said it like a million times, like even yesterday she was saying it, and every time I would always kind of stutter on it. It is named Mankind Spreading Its Wings. And at that moment, all the stars disappeared. It felt as if she had just let out a shriek to which she could give no voice. What happened? Even as I bolted out of my seat, I stopped mid-motion. The darkness that surrounded me was so profound that it was as if the other chairs, the dome, and even all the space around me had vanished. And suddenly, a light arose from the front. She was enveloped in a gentle yellow aura not unlike that from a candle. "Mr. Customer, please be at ease," she said to me as I ran up to her. "There are fiber optics woven into my uniform. Please wait for a little bit by my side until the lights come back on." Wow. Her outfit looks kind of pretty when it's lit up like that. What happened? Did a light bulb burn out? Miss Jenna is not responding. Neither the projectors nor the axes are activating. As I am a simple robot, I cannot deal with this situation, so this is quite serious. I'm very worried. Damn it! As I followed my way to the top of the projector pedestal, I grew worried that something serious was amiss. Yeah, but the text doesn't help. It makes it harder to read. This text is very weird. Like, what is this? The M and the I are attached. The 3 green emergency lights that had continued shining with low luminosity even during the projections had completely gone out. And then I understood. This was not a breakdown in the projector, nor was it something that was particularly easy to solve. Where is the fuse board? Right this way. She pulled the interface cable out of its socket near her ear. I followed her as she walked without fear or hesitation in the darkness. The problem was simple. It was so simple that it verged on the idiotic that it was difficult for me to truly accept that it had happened in the first place. The weak stream of electrical power from the sarcophagus city that had somehow miraculously supplied this place for over 30 years had died out during the one time when it was actually needed. Or perhaps the or perhaps the operation of the projector itself was the trigger of the outage. But no matter what the cause was, I had no way of restoring the power. Mr. Customer, may I ask a question? As I had carried on my useless struggle with the fuse board, she had fallen mysteriously silent, but at last she opened her mouth again. What kinds of tools are necessary to repair Miss Jenna? Is it a matter of swapping out the fixed star light bulbs? It would just not do for the projection to be suspended while there are customers viewing it. We must immediately repair it and restart the projection. You are to be the first customer to view our commemorative projection. All of the staff here have labored so hard to produce it. So please, she stared at me beseechingly with her eyes wide open. There is no malfunction. The power has been cut off is all. I beg your pardon, but I do not understand. You don't believe letters. If the M and the I want to be together, they can. They might even become one, like eh. How do you pronounce that? I don't even know how to pronounce. I've seen that before, the A and the E stuck together, and I have no idea how it's pronounced. The electricity hasn't cut off. It's an electrical outage. Do you understand? An electrical outage. In that case, the emergency power will come online soon enough. This place has been supplied all along by that emergency power of which you speak. Now that it has been cut off, we are out of options. So, since she's a robot, and doesn't it say she recharges after a week? She's gonna die, isn't she? If there's no power. In that case, when will the power return? It will never return. It is not a problem of just this building either. Isn't that a channel? I don't know. Is it a channel? In that case, what must we do in order to restart the projection? I could not say anything. If there's anything I can do to help, please order me to do something. She again sank into silence, eagerly awaiting my words. Like a mother who had already known the condition of her child's disease by reading the doctor's facial expression, I could clearly feel every single second passing me by. She rose from her sitting position and turned towards me. Mr. Customer, does that mean that the special projection... Listen closely to what I have to say. I stopped her before she said what she was going to say. Yes, sir. Continue the projection. Your voice will be enough. As she shook her head slowly, the halo of delicate phosphorescence that surrounded her moved like a veil. I beg your pardon, but I do not understand. It doesn't matter whether the projector activates or not. What I want to hear is your explanations and commentary. Can you do that? Yes, I can do that, but if it is just my commentary alone, then that will not be a projection. It's okay. If it's about the stars, then I will be able to see everything. Just from you speaking, I will know all of what it is that you want to show me. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce it. I actually learned it in school. It's used to write things the way so we know how to pronounce words. Yeah, it's not very helpful to me though if I don't know how to pronounce it. They taught. I don't. AE is a channel on pay TV here, and I think it has that symbol. I don't know. That might be a channel here too. I haven't seen like actual channels on TV in so long. Like I don't have cable. AE is pronounced like the A in cat. I looked it up. Ah. Oh, it's pronounced ah. I see. Interesting. All of this coming from my mouth was nonsense. Even I didn't understand why I was saying these things. She peered at my face with great curiosity and somehow even greater yearning. I felt as if she was seeing right through me, and slowly she began to speak. You must really love the stars, Mr. Customer. It was a tone of voice that I had never heard up until now from her, something close to shocked laughter. I am truly honored to have you as a customer of our humble establishment. In that case, very well. We will continue the projection through my explanations alone. Cool phonetics. Her smile alone seemed to flood the endless darkness with her gentle light. A long, long, long time ago, in the midst of dark and gloomy caves, the ancestors of humanity were eking out their existence, huddled together. The world was still locked in ice, and huge tusked beasts still roamed the land. Our ancestors struggled every day just to gather food to live, one more day at a time. One long frozen night, one young man woke up. He was probably very cold, and his stomach was probably very empty, so he was unable to sleep. With sleepy eyes, he headed to the entrance of the cave and peered outside. What he saw with his own 2 eyes was the millions of stars that were glittering in the night sky. The reverie of mankind spreading its wings towards the cosmos. That was the title of this special projection. The concept seemed simple enough. To have this robot girl narrate the story of how mankind, which had always longed to reach out to the stars, was now on the verge of attaining its goal. I don't use TV anymore. I just get everything off the internet. Me too. And pirate life. Well, I guess I get mine from streaming services. Like, I don't know, by the time I was in high school, pretty much, like, even my parents didn't really have cable anymore. Now everything was, like, streaming services. My mom has, what is it? It's, like, you can watch channels on it, but it's not, like, cable. It's, like, on her Amazon Fire Stick. Or something like that. I don't know how it works, actually, very much. But she watches, like, cooking shows with it. A darkness as thick and impenetrable as wet ash settled once again around me. I could not even make out the outline of the projector. I closed my eyes and concentrated with all my heart on imagining the things of which she spoke. This way, she would be in control of not just that piece of machinery known as Miss Jenna, but of all the equipment capable of projecting an image in the room. Maybe she has sling? I think that's what it's called. I think that's it. Yeah, I think it's that. The slide projector installed on the pedestal would begin to project, one slide at a time, the genealogy of mankind as it strove to reach past the sky, of the man who had fashioned wings out of birds' feathers and affixed those wings to their arms, and the tragic result, of the floating paper balloons that amused a king, and of the laboratory of the inventor that had become a gilded cage for its prisoner. I say if you got to experience whacking the TV or whacking the remote batteries or all of the above, that's the full TV experience. Yeah, I agree. I'm so amazed at your ability to read the awful space text. It's a talent. I have a talent. Oh yeah, I think I know what it is. It gives you access to like heaps of channels with an internet connection. Yeah. That's what she has. I'm pretty sure it's the sling thing. Of the man who silently experimented over and over with crude gliders made of bamboo and cane. Of the men who invented the first aircraft of its first flight in the billowing dunes witnessed by so few. Of the fanciful Victorian engineers who built rockets in attempts to head to the moon, and of wars that swallowed up the entire world in their mad conflagrations. Of the first artificial satellite, of the first radio signal from space, of the dog, Laika, who would never come home to Earth. Oh. Laika, I remember being so sad when we learned about Laika in school. Of the pilots who challenged the stratosphere, of the first manned space flights, of the first spacewalk, and mankind's first footsteps on the moon. Gotta appreciate Maggie's ability to read 2004 text fonts. It's a talent. The time of wars came to an end, at last ushering in an era where the whole world would link hands in order to reach out toward the cosmos. Her voice resounded clearly through time and space, bringing me all the way from the distant past all the way up to the present. To the heavens, toward the high heavens of an international satellite communications network, a space shuttle system, an international space station, and of plans to return to the surface of the moon. Beyond the sky of light, escaping the darkness of night, of the many unavoidable tragedies that occurred as mankind soared higher and higher, changing so many tears into the seeds of new dreams, and of the international manned mission to Mars. And thus did people manage to set foot on distant planets. A laser pointer would now be directing me at a red star shining in the southern sky, and I imagined a slow close-up flyby of the surface of that red planet, Mars. It's Mars! This is Mars! Its diameter is 6,974 kilometers, solar revolution is 687 days, mean atmospheric temperature is negative 55 degrees Celsius, and its mean atmospheric pressure is 7 hectopascals. The atmosphere itself is quite thin, and it is comprised mainly of carbon dioxide. When traces of ancient waterways were discovered on the surface of this red planet, people imagined wild tales and legends of extraterrestrial life. My stomach just growled. I hope you didn't hear that. Fleeting, whimsical stories of grotesque... Oh, what did I do? Oh. Of grotesque invaders, with incredibly advanced science, of beautiful ladies and heroes, and of aliens come to destroy a harmonious civilization. But now we know that Mars is a dead planet devoid of any traces of life. However, the theories that the canals on Mars were constructed by intelligent life have not faded, and in fact continue to charm many people to this day. And at that point, she paused for a second. Our planetarium was established in the very year that mankind was first successful in setting foot on Mars. Since then, many people have come and viewed our projections. Truly, Mars is the very symbol of the success of the space colonization program. It is also the namesake of Mars, the Roman god of war. The image of Mars would now slowly fade and would be replaced by a complex sphere of blue, green, and white, shining as brilliantly as glass. Oh, it's Earth! Please take a look. This is the third planet from the Sun, our very own Earth. It has been the cradle of mankind since the olden days, and it will always be considered the birthplace of man, will it not? Although I am a robot, I was also produced on this planet. I can reel off any number of measurements concerning the Earth for you. But it would probably take a hefty software upgrade for me to be able to accurately express our planet's beauty to you. She smiled almost as if shy about her words, and then she again fell silent for a little while. Now, robots are not the only beings who can upgrade the goodness of their hearts. Overpopulation, energy issues, water problems, a rising sea level, an ecosystem in imbalance, air pollution, and finally problems of who possesses space. Currently, there are many problems and disputes in this world. However, this is what I believe. Mankind will be able to solve all its problems and will one day reach out to the world of the stars. She was now a priestess telling me of oracular visions. With graceful actions, she extended her arms wide in the darkness. The starry sky now belongs to you. That was the message she was conveying with childlike innocence to every single person born on this planet. This is kind of a sad message when you have the knowledge of what happened. On this special night, I would like to let you in on a big secret. This planetarium is also a time machine. It allows us to traverse time from the distant past into the farthest future. The following portion of the presentation will now be turned over to Miss Jenna. The projector would once again come to life and the steel casing would again tremble with joy. The motor would speak one last time, beginning to emit its low signature aria. And then, like a gentle dinosaur craning its neck, the fixed star balls would begin to draw complex loci. Huh? Within a microcosm bereft of color, new stars would begin to radiate with brilliance. Whoa. Please take a look. This is the starry sky that will be seen precisely 1,000 years from this day in this place. This is the meager depiction of the starry sky in the future that I, Hoshino Yumemi, the robot, and Miss Jenna, the projector, can give you. I did not know where her voice was coming from anymore. The customers in the sold-out auditorium would alternately be hushed in amazement or clamoring in excitement, staring up at the starry sky with intoxication. Past the confines of this dome lay a vast ocean of light. Like an hourglass of the gods concealed under a curtain of gold, the light radiated everywhere without beginning or end. She slowly closed her eyes and clasped her hands as if in prayer. I pray, everyone, that you will remember, even if the world of the stars should someday become a common living ground rather than an unreachable goal to strive for. I pray that you will never forget the starry sky. When you are lost in the dark and can no longer see the stars in the sky, please remember what you have seen here today. This is my little reverie. It's pronounced loci. I hate this word. That was pronounced loci? Huh. Well then, let us return to our own day and age. Please hold on tight so that you do not get lost. I want to go into the stars. The projection would be on its home stretch now. The stars would grow even more radiant as if they were being polished by her voice. Having finished its duties, the projector would be returning to its home position. And likewise, the diurnal axis would be revolving back to its original resting spot like a boat returning to safe harbor. The celestial spheres are revolving. The winter constellations are now showing their faces from the eastern horizon. Orion, Auriga, Taurus. These are the harbingers of a magnificent season that will soon be unfolding every night high above our heads. And now a faint light would be starting to suffuse the sky. As the dull crimson light would begin to fill the eastern sky, the radiance of the stars began to weaken. The barely visible stars of the western sky would now dim as if they were receding into the distance, and then they would vanish entirely. The long night has finally ended, and morning has once again come to the world. The sun has risen. The twittering of little birds and the rustling of the wind can now be heard. The slumbering buildings and trees, too, are sleepily opening their eyes to greet the rays of the sun. Very soon now, the town will come alive, and just as ever, a new day will begin. Good morning, everyone. Well then, that is the end of our commemorative projection. My name is Hoshino Yumemi, and it has been an honor to have had you along with me on this journey. Thank you for listening so attentively. On behalf of all the staff of our establishment, I would like to thank you again. We eagerly await your next visit. I want to go to now I really want to go to a planetarium and go see a lovely show like that, preferably hosted by a cute robot. Flying through a sea of stars will always remind me of Treasure Planet. I haven't seen that since I was a little kid. I don't remember it very well. The song, that's the one that song is from, right? How does that song go? And I want a moment to be real, want to touch things I will feel, something like that. That song is from that movie, right? I like that song. That was a great presentation of it I just did, huh? Even though the projection was over, I didn't open my eyes. I could still vividly see all those trails of stardust, like so many after images with my eyes closed. I'm awake now. Right now, I was reluctant to open my eyes and return to the pitch black darkness. Yeah, you're saying it perfectly. Thank you. Mr. Customer, today's projection is over. Hi, Kitty. My cat is so excited today about my presents. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. I like to just meow at my cat. I just like to go meow, 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 meow. Mr. Customer, today's projection is over. You might have to request the cute robot at the planetarium. They're usually very stingy with the cute robot. Yeah, I'm gonna go to a planetarium, and I'm just gonna go to like the service desk or wherever, like the main desk. I'm just gonna say, hey, I want to go to the show that has the robot girl, okay? If there isn't a robot girl, then I want my money back. I went to a planetarium in Japan. It was so beautiful, though I could only understand a little bit of the show, lol. I don't even know where any planetariums are near me. I've never been to a planetarium. I've never heard of anybody that I know in real life having gone to a planetarium. I feel like I forgot they even existed until I played this game, because I mean, after this I might have to just research where the nearest planetarium is and try to take a trip. I could hear precise, regular footsteps making their way to me. Mr. Customer, Mr. Customer? I could hear the whirring of micromotors, which told me that she was gently cocking her head in doubt once again. I thought about opening my eyes before she inevitably asked me, "Are you feeling ill?" But just then... Oh, so you've fallen asleep. I'm not watching the planetarium with the robot girl. I'm watching the robot girl with the planetarium. My university also has 2 planetariums, and the bigger one usually has public shows for anyone to watch. Not just the students. That sounds awesome! Oh, this music that's playing now is really pretty, isn't it? But I probably have to talk over it if I don't want to get another copyright strike. Her voice shrank down to a whisper. Oh, this song is really pretty. Sorry, I should talk over it so I don't get a copyright strike, but I want to listen to it because it sounds so pretty. It's protocol to show all the customers out the door after this projection is over, but after taking all the factors into account, I think that it would be best to allow Mr. Customer to sleep like this until morning. A chair beside me squeaked, and I could feel that she was sitting down. I continued to pretend to be asleep. There certainly have been a lot of customers who have fallen asleep during the projection. Then again, there have been children who start crying during the projection too. When that would happen, I'd lead them out the emergency exit, and I would talk to them until the projection ended. As if she were reminiscing about old times, she lapsed into silence for a second. Mr. Customer, how is our special projection? All the members of our staff put their hearts into making it. Mr. Manager once told me that it was a great privilege for a human being to be able to sleep underneath the starry sky. This is making me... Now that I like live in like more of like a... I guess it's still more of an like... I don't know if it counts as a city, but there's like nowhere for me to just go and lay and stare at the sky anymore, because now I live in an apartment where I don't have a yard, and this is making me really miss when I lived in my tiny little hometown where I could just go stare at the skies. Audio jungle. Audio jungle. Say that to avoid copyright. Urban. Yeah, urban would probably be the word. A claim a strike would be very bad. Yeah, I don't know if I'd get a strike. Maybe I would. The other videos just gave me like, now they get the company who made the music can make money off of my videos because of the ads, I think. This is why I believe that surely you must be quite satisfied, Mr. Customer. I am very happy. I wonder what kind of dream you're having. I am a robot, so I cannot dream. But I believe that surely you are having a pleasant dream. She continued to talk by my side without end, as if she were telling a child a bedtime story. And I swore that I would remember about the olden days before the rain began to fall upon this world. I was a little boy then. The colony in which I lived was overcrowded, so there was a chronic shortage of drinking water, medicine, and food. But even so, the number of refugees that came every day was greater than the number of those who died. As the toxic contamination of the world was at that point concentrated in the southern hemisphere, during times when there was no smog, we were even allowed to go outside without any protective suits. I live in the country at the moment, no lights, you get a great view of the stars. That's where I want to live. I remember coming out of the airlock held in somebody's arms. I think it was on a late midwinter night. It was pitch black outside, and the air was freezing cold. The person who was holding me did not move an inch and just stood absolutely still in the darkness. The person merely looked skyward, forever staring into a gap in the thickly overlapping clouds. I had forgotten the sensation of that person touching my cheek, lost to frozen time. That person, surely, was my mother. There were other adults in the vicinity, but none of them stirred an inch, looking up the empty sky as if they had been petrified. Were there stars in that sky? I swore that I would remember. That was such a nice part. I live in an urban city next to an urban area next to a big city, so I rarely see the stars. That's sad. I wish that everyone everywhere could see the stars. I wish that you could see stars in cities. On the next day, the rain continued to fall. It was as if it had been that way since the beginning of the world. Why don't you come to the planetarium? The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. All the stars in the sky are waiting for you. She continued to address the rain with her lucid voice as if nothing had changed. Good morning, Mr. Customer. How are you feeling? When she noticed me, she gave me the same salutation that she always did. Not particularly good, but not bad either. I see. If you are still feeling ill by any chance, I'm fine. Very well, that is good then. Mr. Customer, will you be going home now? Yeah. My sincerest apologies for the breakdown during the projection. I beg your pardon from the bottom of my heart. Well, I stuttered for no particularly good reason. Your projection wasn't bad. I am very happy that you praise us thus. It is also true that you have helped us out a lot. Thank you so much. My grenade launcher, my waterproof cloak, and my backpack all felt several times heavier than usual. Because the humidity in the projection room had risen due to the shutdown of the air conditioners, I could again feel the dull ache from several old wounds. I did not even get a good night's sleep last night. I was all out of food, and I could feel that I would soon run out of strength. I sort of always lived in or around a big city, but I used to visit my great-grandparents who lived in a small village. That's nice to visit them in a small village. I love small villages, small towns. I can see the stars and I'm not watching them enough. I used to enjoy watching them a lot during high school, but real life has forced me not to look up so much. That's how it kind of is. You kind of, you get, real life troubles and stuff like that, and stress and obligations make you forget that there's even a sky up there to look at. But none of these things were the cause of my current reflective mood. Say. Yes, what is it? Just what do you plan on doing from now on? I choked down the words that I had been on the verge of saying. It was a completely senseless question. I used to visit family in Mexico at a really small village, and the sky there was really beautiful. I really like hearing people's stories like that. I wish I still lived in a small town. Or even better, I wish I lived just out in the country where there's a small town that I could visit, but I wasn't necessarily in the small town. I like to live on the outskirts, close enough to everything, but far away enough for peace and quiet. Yeah, that's where I would want to be. I want to own a farm, kind of. But I don't think I could ever do that. But it's like something that I don't know. I watch some YouTubers who own farms. And I think, I want to own a farm out in the country. But I think in actuality, I would just live in the country and not have a farm. It sounds really, like a really difficult, it's hard work. People always say that. It's hard work. She would be waiting without question or complaint on this rooftop for more customers to come, for the staff members to return, and for the electricity to the projector to be restored. Oh, cool, we're discussing retirement plans. I want to do that now. I'm 10 kilometers out from my town and 50 kilometers from the major big town. We don't really use kilometers here, so I'm not even sure how far that is. I just need a PC and high-speed internet. Can live anywhere with that. That's true. Yeah, living in a small town is great until you have to bike over a mountain to get groceries. Yeah. I want to bike. But I don't want to bike over a mountain to get groceries. That sounds like it'd be hard to carry the groceries back. I like living in a farm, food self-sufficient, and I get a workout. That sounds fun. It could be a lot of work. Yeah, that's the only problem. I get bad internet. I didn't even really think about how the internet would probably be bad in the countryside. Oops. When her batteries were exhausted, she would connect her charging socket to its cable and simply close her eyes, and then she would never move again. That was the certain future that would visit itself upon her body in a matter of a few dozen hours at the most. Mr. Customer, are you waiting for customers today too? No, today is Wednesday, so the entire department store is closed. So you have the day off? Yes, so I do. And how do you usually spend your days off? Maybe get Starlink. Oh, Starlink internet should be getting better. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. You telling us you don't use kilometers reminds me of a meme where a bald eagle shooting rifles goes, WTF is a kilometer? That's me. I don't know what a kilometer is. Well, as holidays are not necessary for robots, I generally do various little tasks. Is that so? On one of these days off several years ago, I rebuilt a bouquet as the one I had built before it had broken apart about 8 years before. Are you talking about that bouquet you gave me? Yes, next time around I will await your return having prepared a genuine bouquet of beautiful flowers. I see. The dubious bouquet of artificial flowers had been cleared away from my sight some time ago without my even noticing. Sorry, wait, I'll convert it. Sorry. I guess I'm just a dumb American. I don't know other people's words. Which customer did you say I was again? Sir, you are our 2,497,290th customer, to be exact. Since you gave me that bouquet, then I guess I had better be the 2,500,000th customer as well. Yes, sir, I will be waiting with all my heart. The least I could do for her was to engage her one last time in the idle talk that she seemed to love so much. When I was in the middle of repairing the projector, I certainly thought that this might not be too bad a place to die. But the feeling, which wasn't far from intoxication, was now vanishing like a fad from a bygone era. 6 miles from a small town, 30 miles to the big town. Oh, now I get it. Thank you. In its place was something that could be called a longing for others. I wanted to head toward the places where people still set foot and lived their lives on this little planet, even if I should perish along the way. Yes, there was part of me that felt that way, even if it amounted to nothing more than a mere instinct that, from the very beginning, had been embedded in every single one of those living things known as human beings. Even so. I'm heading off now. Very well, thank you for everything. If you would, send a prayer to the God of Robots for me, that I might survive the trip back. Yes, sir. At that moment she turned strangely serious. Her words, which had started off so cheerfully, trailed off into hesitance. Mr. Customer, I'm terribly sorry, but may I ask you a question? What is it? Will there be perils on your journey home? If I said no, then I would probably be lying, I answered, thus lengthening the idle chatter that I had grown so used to. Will you be taking the subway on your way home? The subways aren't running. There's an electrical outage right now, remember? Yes, so I see. I have currently added this matter into my behavioral database. She replied thus, even though she knew that there was an electrical outage, that did not mean that she could necessarily string together the consequences of that situation. Then will you be taking a bus or a taxi or some other kind of vehicle? A car, probably. On my way in, during my battle with 3 other junkers at the rift in the quarantine wall, the engine of my motorcycle had been shot to pieces. The Land Rover that my 3 colleagues had come in was undamaged, but his 3 passengers were a completely different matter, a fitting end to a forced dealing. If I could successfully escape the city, then I could take the car and drive it to a nearby settlement. But if that car were out of gas, then I was destined to die a dog's death. Did you park your car in the public parking lot then? Not quite. Then did you park your car with a 3-kilometer radius of here? Approximately, although I don't exactly know. Her rapid succession of questions was obviously very different from the idle talk that she was so fond of. Why are you asking these things of me? I am currently connecting the support center. Please wait for a bit, she said with a dead serious voice, not answering my question. I could not help but feel that there was something in that voice that I had never heard before. Hey. Very well. I was just about to prod her for a second time when she returned to her usual smile. America uses their measurements and are at least more consistent compared to the English or Canadians. I don't want to insult other places. The thing is, we learned like kilometers and meters and millimeters in school. I just don't remember them. But I feel like they were easier because they're all like 100, 10, 1000. They're all like the same. You just move the decimal point, right? For them to convert them. But here in the US, we are like 12 inches is a foot. It doesn't make any sense. But I still am able to remember the ones from here because we actually use them. And I don't remember the other ones. Even though I feel like the other ones made more sense. You just like move the decimal place over, right? Oh! Nice music. I will escort you to your car, Mr. Customer. What if she gets shot? Aren't there people trying to shoot me? Yeah, metric is easiest. We measure things in football fields and hot dogs. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, the first time I heard someone say they are 5'11", I was like, WTH. Oh, neat music. This song is so cute, isn't it? What did you just say? Yes, sir. I just said that I would escort you to your car, Mr. Customer. How was I supposed to respond to this? As I fretted over how to reply, she merely continued to smile. The duty of escorting the weak and elderly falls upon us robots. Please do not feel uneasy about it. Are you saying I'm weak and elderly? Just who are you calling weak and elderly? Sir? She cocked her head slightly. I beg your pardon. I've made a horrible error in my speech. I humbly beg your pardon. And once again, that incessant flood of words. There had been times when I had seen this kind of slapstick comedy on old-fashioned film reels. But when I first entered this planetarium, I came face to face with a genuine article. Are you all in there? No, I'm just a little broken. That is not what I'm talking about. I believe that if the electrical outage has affected the adjacent blocks as well, then your journey might be fraught with peril, Mr. Customer. Today is the department store's business holiday, so the help desk staff all have the day off. As I appear to be the only robot currently operational in our department store, I believe that it becomes my duty to see you off safely, Mr. Customer. She only used the phrase, I believe, during times when she was absolutely certain that her notions were correct. In other words, I would literally not be able to move her otherwise, not even with a lever. Are you okay with leaving your post? Yes, I have currently attempted to contact the support center and request a release to act upon the 4th article of the 12 allowable exceptions to our professional code. However, as I cannot get through to them, I am allowed to act according to my discretion, she clearly asserted. It may well be fate that this should happen, so may I come with you? I sighed again. It seemed that I had underestimated her yet again. That was my cat. That's what she said. Winnie, what is up? What are you so excited about today? Or it may well have been that I had forever disrupted a garden that had heretofore been maintained in exquisite balance. May I come with you? Of course, I shouldn't have let her accompany me. I should have freed myself from the grasp of this broken robot and returned to the solitary life of a junker. However, her artificial optic resin eyes were sharply focused and gazing at me intently. My mind had been an empty desert, a chattering graveyard of hollow sounds. Indeed, that had been the world in which I had walked up till now. Blech. But now grains of stardust were shining like a strain undying on an imperishably dark heart of hearts that had long been without a single decent thought. I can hear Kato. Damn it. Seized by an impulse that I myself could not fathom, I armed my grenade launcher. How much longer will your batteries last? Now my cat is jumping in a box. You might have heard that. If I continue in the current pattern of usage, then my battery will last for 4 more days. How fast can you walk? My maximum walking speed is 8 kilometers per hour over an even surface. How do you plan on returning? While I cannot acquire GPS data from the satellites, if your destination is within 3 kilometers, I can independently find my way back. Will you be okay in the rain? Yes, my enclosure has Class 2 waterproofing, so... You told me this earlier, so you're saying that the rain has never caused you to stop moving or anything like that? Yes, sir, I have no problems operating in wet conditions. Although she spoke with such confidence, the rain that fell now was completely different from the rain that fell 30 years ago. This whole Class 2 waterproofing thing was dubious as well. May I come with you? Finally, I answered her. Do as you wish. Thank you very much. She bowed deeply to me. Well then, let us be off. Saying this, she produced something from the inside of the reception desk. Here you are. The thing that she was presenting to me with a huge smile on her face was that self-styled bouquet again. Just when I thought I had seen the last of it, there it was again. What the hell is this? This is your bouquet, Mr. Customer. I have been safekeeping it with the utmost care for you. So she would not be satisfied unless I took a souvenir with me after all. Was that it? I don't recall asking you to safekeep it for me. Yes, sir. You forgot it on the floor of the projection room, so I decided to safekeep it for you. I didn't forget it. I threw it away. Yes, I understand. She replied thus, but her facial expression obviously told me that she understood nothing. Please do not worry. We do not charge anything for the safekeeping of things left behind during the projection. I then sighed again, not at her kindness, but at the way that I was caving in. Since you have it, do whatever you want with it. I don't want it right now. Why don't you want it? Acknowledged. I will take responsibility for the bouquet until we reach your car, Mr. Customer. She responded thus to what I said. I couldn't help but feel that her ability to interpret my words to her utmost favor was quite incredible. As it is a rainy day, you will need an umbrella. I will prepare one now. As she briefly laid the bouquet down and turned to go back to the counter, I grabbed her and stopped her. If I allowed her to have her way any longer, I would probably end up carrying everything in the kitchen sink. Forget about the umbrella. I will lend you a coat. I hopelessly opened my backpack and took out my spare waterproof cloak. Oh no, I could never do such a thing. If you're going to come with me, at least listen to what I have to say. But, come on, put it on by yourself. I thrust the dirty cloak at her. Very well, in that case, I accept your offer. Is she going to have another sprite where she has the cloak on, or no? She bowed low as if she were receiving a medal from me. The streets were empty. Shutters encrusted with rust and bicycles standing where they had been abandoned 30 years ago were being deluged by the rain. I flipped off the safety of my grenade launcher and I slowly surveyed my surroundings. There was no sign of warmongers, nor were there any sign of pedestrians with their umbrellas. Nothing at all had changed since I had first arrived in the sarcophagus city. I was very strongly struck by the incongruous feeling that I was the only living being in this entire place now. It was the first time that I had felt such a thing. "Why, there's nobody out at all," she said, as if she were musing about the exact same thing that I was. "That's because of the rain. Let's go." I walked out into the street from the eaves, wearing the hood of my cloak low over my eyes. As I heard the sound of the rain hitting the road, the feeling of incongruity disappeared. At that moment, she seemed to hesitate over something. I crossed the main street without slowing down and then concealed myself near the opposite sidewalk. "Hurry up!" And finally she began to cross as well. She walked with a relaxed gait as if she were going shopping in the neighborhood. "Faster!" "Acknowledged." She whispered over to me and smiled. Just then a sheet of spray spouted up. She lost her balance and sprawled out over in the middle of the road. Bracing herself with both hands, she rose in a most smooth and refined manner. After that, she picked up the bouquet from the mud. She then continued to cross the road as if nothing had happened. Oh, she does have a sprite where she's wearing it. Cute! "Thank you for waiting. I'm only going to ask once. Are you all right?" "Yes, sir. It seems that currently my posture control subsystem has become unreliable. However, if the imbalance is small, then I can recover from it under volitional control." "Make sure you don't fall in the first place, then." "Yes, sir. I beg your pardon." She lightly bowed her head with complete calm. "Because of my fall just now, the bouquet has been broken a little bit. I beg your pardon." "I don't care." "Thank you very much. In any case, Mr. Customer, I'm sorry to bother you, but if you're going to insist on chattering, at least whisper." "Very well, I understand." Her voice obediently shrank down to a whisper. "Anyway, Mr. Customer, I'm sorry to bother you, but it's very dangerous to cross the road without paying attention to the traffic signals. We have to pay attention to traffic signals in the apocalypse." You better offer to bring her with it. Yeah! I don't want him to leave her. She looks so cute with that on, because it makes it look like she has, like, short hair, and it's, like, cute to see her with kind of an alternate hairstyle, even though it isn't actually an alternate hairstyle. You can't just see the long hair. Let it go. There's an electrical outage right now. More importantly, can't you walk any faster? The pace at which I was just walking is my maximum speed. 8 kilometers per hour, huh? Yes, 8 kilometers per hour, she confirmed, puffing out her chest proudly. Speaking of which, there are really very few people out and about today. It's always like this. Everywhere has been hit hard with the economic depression, huh? She said earnestly, looking at the depressed remains of buildings that seemed to lend credence to her words. Jaywalking in the apocalypse? Preposterous! Although the last time I went out, there were so many people out and about. Jaywalking. I started putting together a plan of action. It was a little over 3 kilometers from here to the rift in the quarantine wall, at least as the bird flew. If she was going to continue to fall over in the middle of the road and scold me over traffic laws that had ceased to be years ago, we could probably just barely reach the rift in an hour. However, the patrolling squads of heavy hunter-killer mechs made it dangerous to utilize the major roads, so it would probably be better to take a detour east and head toward the rift using the side paths. Even so, that was going to take several hours. She was the big problem here. If any one of the autonomous combat units spotted this ditz of a companion robot, she would not be able to produce a corresponding IFF signal and would thus be targeted as an enemy mech. While their scanners would not detect the signature of a living organism coming from her, there was no mistake that they would pick up on her movements. Alright, listen up. Yes, sir. If you're going to continue following me, then do not open your mouth. And if you happen to get separated from me, then don't worry and head straight home. No, I cannot do such a thing. Which command is that a response to? The latter. Taking everything into consideration, I believe that it is my mission to safely see you off, Mr. Customer. Your mission, huh? I had heard those words being spoken so many times before in the past, but I had never once met a person who had truly believed in them. And to tell you the truth, I very much enjoy going out. There has been many a time in the past where I have stood on the street corner and advertised our projections to all the people on the street. Why don't you come to the planetarium? Look, I told you not to speak if at all possible. Yes, sir, I beg your pardon. She allowed the next 10 seconds to pass in silence as if she were punishing herself for her trespasses. I was confronted with a problem that had no solution. Just what was I thinking, taking her with me like this? It was true that I could not for even a second think that it was permissible to just leave her in that planetarium that had now lost all its faculties. But what other choices did I have? Hers was an existence that should have ceased to be 30 years ago. Just why did I care so much about this broken robot? Damn it. Mr. Customer, if you're not feeling well... I'm fine, don't worry about it. Yes, sir. Right, there's no time to be thinking about this kind of problem right now. I cannot do anything about whether she was going to continue to exist or not with my hands alone. If an emergency struck, it would just be better to desert her. She wouldn't be able to catch up to me either. I didn't care what would become of her after that. What? Why don't you care what will become of her? Let's go. Yes, sir. I once again stepped out into the rain. You better protect the robot. In the space of 1 hour, I felt as if I had already done a decade's worth of penance. Cold, cold-hearted protect. The air had grown chilly, and the rain was continuing to fall as it always had. Although the sidewalks were also immersed, they were not so bad as to be unwalkable yet. It did not seem as if there were any combat units in the area either. If I made skillful use of the alleyways, the various road blockades would not be much of a problem too. Yet I still found myself in the heart of this sarcophagus city. Please look at that, Mr. Customer, she said happily, twisting her entire body as she looked around. The store's vanilla cream puffs are very popular, so there's always a line for it. And sure enough, there was a fallen billboard on the side of the road that read, "Delicious handmade cream puffs here." But the line of which she spoke was nowhere to be seen. Within the span of these 30 years, the baker's skill must have fallen considerably. Do you like cream puffs, Mr. Customer? I've never eaten them before, so whether I like them or not is irrelevant. Oh, I see. Well, it does not seem that they are crowded right now. How about having one as a souvenir? If you like, I can prepare a discount coupon. There's no line, but there's no merchandise either. As I said this, she looked with wonder at the refrigerated case that had now had only a price tag sticking on it. Oh, how unfortunate. I'm sorry, but they appear to be out of stock. She said this as if nothing unfortunate had happened at all. She's like completely unable to comprehend that it's the apocalypse. They tried to tell her earlier and she didn't even understand. Look, cut out the guided tour and just concentrate on walking faster. I'm in a hurry. Yes, order acknowledged. However, the ground is quite wet today, so if you go too fast... And just as she said that, one of her feet got snagged on the junction between two tiles. Just like that, she lost balance and tumbled to the ground with a crash. The bouquet fell from her hands and parts of the flowers scattered about. She did not cry out, nor did she clutch any parts of her body in pain. It was almost like a silent comedy. She got up in a single smooth movement and then picked up the fallen bouquet with a conscientious air. I beg your pardon. The bouquet has broken a little bit. I don't care. Thank you very much. The ground has become so very muddy and slippery, so... Look, I get it. So no more of these performances. Yes, sir. Please look, Mr. Customer. As if nothing in the past couple of hours had happened, she stepped up to a large fluorescent billboard. I hope that nothing bad happens to her on this walk to the car. There is a bar affiliated with our department store on the 5th floor of this building. One can enjoy fresh cooked fish and various microbrewed beers here. If you would like, I can print out a discount coupon for use in the bar right now, so how about paying them a visit and relaxing? Are you coming with me in order to nurse me along, or are you coming with me in order to give me discount coupons? Just which of the two is it? Just as I said this, she looked up at me in worry. Mr. Customer, are you in a condition where a nurse is necessary? That's not what I meant. Now please quit it with your chatter and just walk more quickly. Yes, order acknowledged. She answered with her usual smile. Speaking of which, the discount coupons may be used as many times as you like. I have nothing to do with them. If you need them, then you use them. It's weird how sometimes the period gets like into the previous words, so it looks like there's not even a period there. Thank you very much. However, I am a robot, so I cannot eat or drink anything. I am grateful for your consideration, though. Right, just be grateful and take them back. It was dawning on me that there was no way I could correct her tendency to chatter, not anytime soon. At least there was the fact that there was a little chance that our sounds could be detected from any long distance, thanks to the constant pounding of the rain. But the burning problem was... Mr. Customer, I humbly beg your pardon. She suddenly stopped as if she had read my mind. Since, unlike a human being, her movements were never telegraphed, it was disconcerting no matter how many times I had watched her. You need another break? Yes, sir. Currently, my femoral power is overheating, necessitating a cool-down period, she said apologetically as she stood stock still. It seemed that her movement was made possible by a network of old-style micromotors and conductive fiber meshes. The flaw in that particular design was the fact that the entire apparatus tended to overheat quite rapidly when participating in anything more than light labor. And on top of that, her cooling system was not in the best of shape either. In terms of her manufacture date, she was much older than I was, although there were probably several chronic diseases lying in wait for me fairly soon as well. I humbly beg your pardon. I understand. Not having any other choice, I headed over to the innermost parts of the eaves and sat down. She walked next to me, bent her knees, and gently sat down as well. She quietly placed the bouquet on the ground next to her. This was our fourth break already. How far have we walked now? Sir, we have come exactly 1,122 meters from the front door of the Flower Crust department store. I opened the cover to my watch and took stock of the time. So our average speed is 1 kilometer per hour. Yes, our mean speed is approximately 1 kilometer per hour. And what is your top speed again? Approximately 8 kilometers per hour. I see. How impressive. Thank you very much. We're not making it to that speed at all. I did not feel as if I could calm down unless I could somehow summon the fool who had drawn up her specifications sheet and fire a few rounds into them. Wow, it really is raining hard. It is. Mr. Customer, do you like the rain? I don't. Is that so? To tell you the truth, I very much like the rain. Because you get more customers coming to the planetarium? Yes, that is correct. I thought as much. Yes, Mr. Manager once taught me that on rainy days, people feel that the stars are even more precious. I see. Oh yes, something like this happened before. A certain customer asked me, are umbrellas allowed inside the planetarium? I raised my waterproof cloak a little bit and unfastened the canteen from my belt. While I drank that foul-smelling water, she stopped talking and merely stared over at me. Mr. Customer, may I ask a question? What? If it would not be too much of a bother, I would like to know more about your illness, she said with a dead serious face, so it seemed that there was no longer any way to dissuade her from thinking that I was sick. My illness, huh? I stoppered up the canteen and gazed up at the sky. I thought about how bad it would be to allow the downpouring drops of rain to strike exposed skin. It's a very common condition, nothing really worth worrying about. Understood. I beg your pardon then, she said easily. It seemed that she had decided that it would be wiser to press no further. It struck me as funny that even someone whose talkativeness could wear out a saint would know that there were certain private matters that should not be broached in conversation. 5 miles per hour. It's pretty good going. Wow. Oh wait, I think I didn't read that last line out loud, did I? Page up. Then again, during the time she worked, it was probably a very valuable skill to know to know what was okay to talk about and what was not. In that case, what do you do for a living, Mr. Customer? She changed the topic as if she knew what I was thinking about. I'm a junker. As I wondered what the hell I was doing, I answered her and smiled better leave to myself. And just what might that be? She cocked her head in doubt, as she always had in situations like this, and asked again. To put it in words that you would understand, you could call me a garbage collector. A garbage collector. That is a very important job, she replied with a sweet smile on her face. I was willing to bet that her response would have been the same if she had asked a god of death the same question. My enclosure was designed from the very beginning for ease of recycling, so we're going now, all right? Before she could start showing off her abilities, I stood up and threw my backpack around my shoulder. I can't believe he still hasn't told her their name. Yeah, we don't even know the main character's name. Yes, let's go. And then as she started to pick up the bouquet without having learned her lesson, I said to her, leave it right there. Are you speaking of this bouquet? Yeah, you're just liable to fall the more you carry it around, right? Yes, but this is yours, Mr. Customer, so... Look, I also happen to be the one telling you to throw it away. But... Fine, that bouquet is mine, so give it to me. Here's your bouquet. She presented the somewhat lighter bouquet to me with a huge smile on her face. My bouquet, huh? I stared deliberately at the thing that I was about to throw away onto the roadway. Right, this just proved that I was unlikely to get used to her aesthetic sense. Finally, I secured the bouquet with one of my backpack straps. Even if I threw such a light thing away at this point, it was not as if my burden would decrease any. Thank you very much. Whether she knew of my internal struggle or not, she suddenly thanked me. Yeah, well, I am a garbage collector. He's so mean. Oh, you gave me garbage. I answered. Well then, let us be off. She then proceeded to snuggle up next to me as if it were a matter of course. We had begun walking for roughly 2 hours. An old shopping district spread out before us. Oh, he's warmed up a little more. Yeah, he did keep it, so that was nice. Unlike the district of high-rises that we had come from, there was a cluster of low buildings, 2 stories at the most, crowding left and right around the roadways. Another mist, one shop in pitiful shape, revealed itself from the mist of the rain. It seemed that this was once a liquor shop. Half of an old wooden signpost was engraved with the simple legend, liquor store. The warped and bent iron plates of what had once been the door shutters, along with chunks of plaster building material, were strewn on the nearby streets, and glass fragments were scattered about. He gets nice, but then he goes mean again. He is tsundere. He does it nice, and then he has to add a mean comment so she doesn't think that he's doing it for her. From the destruction, it looked as if the storefront had been torn apart by the blast of a grenade at point-blank range. It was impossible to tell whether this was the intentional handiwork of another junker or collateral damage from a battle. The spectacle of that fresh destruction in the midst of this dead ruin for which time had otherwise stopped was as dissonant as a comb that had lost all its teeth. Mr. Customer, may I ask a question? She suddenly cut in. Was this due to an automobile accident or a gas explosion or something like that? One could say something like that. If that is the case, then we must call for emergency services right away. Standard tsundere behavior. Oh yeah, he's the proper Tsun. He's a complete tsundere. She at once set about testing her radio communications that she was so proud of, but it was not as if she would receive a response. After 10 seconds, she spoke. I have queried the support center regarding news about the accident, but I have not received a response. I believe it might be due to the electrical outage. A simple robot like me cannot deal with the situation. I am very worried. It was already taken care of a long time ago. Look, I'll prove it to you. There's nobody around, is there not? Is there now? She anxiously hung her head. Just how many times have I seen this particular action out of her? Yes, I understand. What a flashy way to go about breaking things, though. I armed my grenade launcher again. Wait here. Yes, order acknowledged. As she saw me off with a very out-of-place smile. Weenie, my cat is going... She makes weird noises. She likes to go into empty rooms and just, like, make really weird noises. I don't know if you heard it. I carefully approached the door. I sprayed the tableau that greeted me. Fragments of light brown and light green colored glass were dispersed all over the narrow interior of the shop. Had I been present at the moment of impact, I could probably have gotten dead drunk off the stench alone. But time and rain had now caused everything to sober up. Certainly, if I searched carefully, I might be able to find a surviving bottle or two. I heard it a bit. Ha 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 ha. I don't know why she does that. She just goes into empty rooms and just goes, wow. My cat does the same thing. Are they trying to call other kitties to talk to them or something? My cat hates other cats, though. There was one time where there was a tornado warning, and so Amiko and I had to go into the basement of the apartment, and we brought our cats to keep them safe. My cat was so mad at her cat, and it was really hard to get my cat back up because she was so angry and stressed out from having to see another cat that, like, she wouldn't even let me touch her because she was freaking out so much at the other cat. Certainly, if I searched carefully, I might be able to find a surviving bottle or two. But the current state of affairs would allow me no such luxury. They trying to talk to you? I don't know if she's trying to talk to me because she doesn't do it at me. She just goes into an empty room and does it. When she's talking to me, she doesn't go like she does when she goes in empty rooms. It's weird. But the current state of affairs would allow me no such luxury. If only the destruction were at least only partial. Full of regret, I returned to the entrance and looked at the place that had once been a liquor shop being beaten down by the rain. Time to go. Just when I exited the shop, I noticed something green that had hitherto been concealed shining on the side of the footpath. I hope there wasn't any injuries on that cat-to-cat encounter. There wasn't. They just kind of, they're all bark and no bite. They just kind of stand at the other corner, just staring and hissing. Did you hear that? Just I mean, I'm sure if Amiko's cat had gone close to her, she might have, tried to scratch her, but for the most part, she just, stays at the other side of the room and growls and hisses. Winnie, what is wrong? Oh, she's in here now. Hello? What's your problem? She's been so excited this whole stream. Well, the dog of my great-grandparents liked to bark in empty places where it echoed, so I would usually say he's barking at some ghost. That's funny. My cat is a snake-named Cat. She likes to sleep on me when I get her out of the tank. That's cute. I like snakes, too. I've never had a snake. I feel like in real life I'd be scared of a snake, but I like snakes. I like to look at snakes. And I like there are cute videos of snakes, I think. And I like snakes, but I feel like in real life I would be scared of them. I drew nearer to it, stepping on the fragmented concrete. It's like when two cats do the warning meows when it begins with low growls and then gradually gets louder. Yeah. But since she was so, on edge, whenever we tried to pick her up, she was freaking out, and she would, try to attack us, even though she's mad at the other cat. So what we had to do was I had to take a blanket and just, cover her with the blanket so she couldn't see and couldn't attack me or anything, and carry her up the stairs covered in a blanket. Easiest pet. They just sleep all the time. Eat once a month. That does sound easy. I had a snake on my shoulders and stuff. I feel like I've seen one I don't know, did I touch one? I feel like as a kid we went to a thing where they had a snake person holding a snake and they let you touch it. I think that's the closest I've ever been to a snake. Just as I had thought, this was a bottle of what was probably high-grade liquor. The cardboard display case had long since rotted away, but the bottle itself seemed unbroken. The moment I stretched out my... No, Winnie, stop it. She always scratches the wall and it makes a horrible noise. That's what she just did. I don't know if you heard that. Please stop scratching the wall. What is up with you, Winnie? What is up with you? My cat keeps trying to distract me. Bigger snakes are supposed to be better for domestic keeping since they have less venom, but they do coil their limbs more. Oh. Since my dad likes reptiles, I had snakes and a chameleon. A chameleon would be cool. The moment I stretch out my hand to grab it, the last moment of a pitiful old man flashed through my mind. A booby trap, huh? While the potential for it being such a trap was low, it was still much better to be safe than to be sorry. I surveyed my surroundings. I couldn't see any wires or trip plates anywhere. The other possibility was, at that moment, a hand stretched out from beside me and grabbed the liquor bottle. Here you go. I didn't even have the inclination to get angry with her anymore. And so I merely received the bottle in silence. It was a simple, cylindrical bottle holding what was unmistakably distilled liquor. I immediately broke its seal and opened the plastic cap. This had been the first time that I had broached the seal of one of my prizes in the location that I had found it in, but I didn't care at this point. As I drew the bottle to my mouth in order to partake of it, an exquisite aroma that time had not decayed one bit filled my nose. This was unmistakably a fine blended whiskey. This one prize for all my troubles. A smile spilled out of me involuntarily. While my situation was still as bad as it ever was, I still felt good, as if some weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Mr. Customer, is there water in that bottle? She asked just as I was about to taste the liquor. I was walking around the farm with my parents, and there was a small patch of long grass. My dog stopped and barked at it. A tiger snake rose out from it. It's very venomous. We all ran. That sounds scary. I'm going to look up what a tiger snake looks like. Just kind of curious. Tiger snake. Oh, that is a scary one, isn't it? Oh no, it's kind of cute in some of these pictures, but if you know it's venomous, then that is scary. Oh, it's cute in some pictures, and it's scary in other ones. I guess you could tell by the stripes, right? That it's venomous. Why'd you ask that? You had said before that a doctor had told you that you should never drink water that you did not draw yourself, correct? You have a good memory. Thank you very much. As I am a robot, remembering things is one of my strong points. Then remember one more thing. This is my medicine. As I passed the bottle before her eyes, she very conscientiously read the label. No, I believe that it's not medicine, but a kind of Scotch whiskey, barrel-aged for 12 years, costing, tax included. You are well informed. How wonderful. Ah, thank you very much. I took the opportunity that the chatterbox's words of gratitude presented and took a swig of the bottle's contents. Mine is a jungle jag. I'll look that one up too. The eyes tell you if they are venomous. How can you... What about the eyes? Jungle jag. Oh my goodness. They're really pretty, aren't they? They look like cheetahs. They're cheetah print snakes. I quickly joked. Mr. Customer, are you okay? This scotch, the first that I had imbibed in months, was so strong that my body vomited it back up. I took another sip, this time in order to savor the flavor. The air that rushed into me from the bottle was saturated with alcohol, and I could feel the warmth of the liquor in my stomach. Not bad. Yes, it is of very high quality, so it should slide down your throat as smoothly as silk. Have you ever tried some? No, as I am a robot, I cannot eat or drink. Damn, living in Europe, I never had experiences with any seriously venomous snake. I looked looking for snakes and the reptiles on summer vacations in Croatia or other places. I haven't really seen snakes other than like teeny little like garden snakes. You also recognize if a snake is toxic if you see it has eye bags. This indicates that the snake is a gamer. Oh no. I'll make sure to watch out for that. That's too bad. In order to do my titulator robot companion honor, I took another swig. I think it's vertical pupils means venomous. Oh, okay. Now, if I could only have some cigarettes, this world would be heaven itself. She simply gazed at the destroyed shop, a smile floating to her face. Her shoulders, entirely covered by the waterproof cloak, looked somewhat unsteady to me. The rubble, washed by the unbroken sheets of rain, glimmered a dull silver color. I sealed the whiskey bottle to its original airtight state and then secured it into a pocket of my backpack. I don't recommend getting close enough to a snake to check. Yeah. We took a course northwest from there. Because I had chosen to walk through the alleyways, it was difficult to tell where we were. However, I could tell that we were making progress towards the quarantine wall. The air was rife with the stench of rainwater. I could sense no ill will from the continuous falling of the rain. This sarcophagus city, having lost its protective dome, was like an open-faced water tank. Perhaps the entirety of the east side of the city was thus slightly submerged in water. If that were the case, then the likelihood of having to fight off a patrol of heavy combat units in this area was low. It appeared that, unless there were patrols that hugged the quarantine wall, we had evaded the warmongers for now. Perhaps because it had grown much colder since the time that we left, she appeared to be in good condition as well. More music. Why don't you come to the planetarium? She walked slightly ahead of me, repeating her usual phrase to herself. The beautiful twinkling of eternity that will never fade, no matter what. This town was now hers. Although the roads were immersed in water, she did not seem to mind at all. With a gait that verged on a dance, she walked along these sidewalks that were devoid of people. The traffic lights, bereft of light, and the road signs, bereft of faces, were simply and quietly bidding their farewell. Both the hush of buildings and this robot shaped like a young woman had no duty any longer, and the hundreds of millions of raindrops. It was a scene that made the depths of my heart ache, much like a vague reverie that would vanish by dawn. How is she going to get back on her own? That's a good question. We should just keep her with us the whole time. Or we should go back to the planetarium and live there. Mr. Customer, the elevation starts to change a little here. She came to a stop at a rift in the sidewalk and turned in a circle, surveying her surroundings. She then fell into a puddle of water with a grand splash. This was already the 14th time. Well, if my memory served, that was. I told you not to look around, did I not? Yes, I have no excuse. All these falls don't seem to have damaged you. Well, I am constructed more sturdily than I appear. I did not know whether this was the truth or a joke, but she beamed radiantly all the same. Weather dripped briskly from the cloak that I had lent her. She probably really did like the rain after all. Perhaps it was due to the alcohol that I had just imbibed, but I found myself thinking that way. Before long, her gait slackened. Do you need a break? No, I can walk a little further. Okay. Wow, it really is raining. Yeah. The same casual exchange of words that I knew not how many times we had repeated. The bouquet hanging from my backpack clinked like some kind of protective talisman along with my footsteps. It appears that the roads of this vicinity are different from what is recorded in my databases. She spoke those words like a stale joke every single time we came across barricades and barbed wire entanglements. Has this area been renovated recently? She's going to be some kind of battle bot, isn't she? What if she is? Probably something like that. There really are very few people out and about today. Yeah, it's just the two of us. It's true that rainy days like this tend to be quite boring. However, I believe that it can be fun just to simply allow such rainy days to pass by peacefully at home. But then, in that case, the number of customers coming to the planetarium would decrease, so I would be quite troubled. She talked as we continued to wander about. Hey. Yes, what is it? Don't you get bored? Are you saying that you are bored, sir? You have worked at the planetarium for the entirety of your operational lifespan, correct? Have you not ever thought about trying a completely different line of work? This one was an abrupt question, even coming from me. Why would she, someone who had adhered so strictly to her professional duties, decide to abandon her post today and follow me instead? It may have been that the answers to those two questions were not so dissimilar. I think the probability is low, but you never know. She could just suddenly transform and have gun arms or something. Without a total change of software, I'm not flexible enough to be able to do any other kind of work. And I believe that all kinds of work are equally precious. I thought you would say as much. However, I am very pleased with my current line of work. It is very enjoyable and fulfilling for me to work with Mr. Manager, Miss Jenna, and all the staff. It is true that as of late we have not had too many customers, but I firmly believe that someday many customers will come to our planetarium once again. I see. I responded curtly as I looked out at the foggy rain in my path. If I just walked into its midst, I would be able to return. Back to the world that I had lived in since the day I was born, back to the world in which I had no choice but to live. However, that was not her world. The only things that would await her when she returned to her beloved workplace were a projector that would never function again and an eternity of time. Just going to go to the nearest gas station and drink the gas, then transform. I know that. I've seen that clip. I've seen that really bizarre clip. Alita battle greeter. To take this reality broken and corrupted by the unending rain and to change it into the meager dreams of which she spoke, was there not any way to make it happen? Mr. Customer, may I ask a question? She finally opened her mouth again. What is it? Have you ever prayed to God? No. I think I've answered that question before. Yes, you said that I may certainly have prayed, but I never expected anything. You have a good memory. Yes, as I am a robot, remembering things is one of my strong points. I have not yet heard from you what it is that you pray for. Yes, that is correct. Then what do you pray for? I asked. She stood in the midst of the furious rain. She looked back at me and then spoke slowly. Please do not divide heaven in two. That is my prayer to the God of robots. If people and robots were separately sorted at the gates of heaven, then I would be truly worried. Even if I go to heaven, I still would like to be of service to all humans. I want to be able to be of aid to everyone, now and forever. Haha, one of the rare times I references that you also get. Yeah. She stared at me like a child, desperately looking for confirmation. Is that so? Yes, it is. She smiled bashfully. For her, these words were probably just an extension of her idle talk, but I was starting to think of other things altogether. When we departed from the planetarium, she had said that if I continue in the current pattern of usage, then my battery will last for 4 more days. She'd probably not thought that the way would be so long and harsh. No, it was doubtful that she thought that even now. In other words, her batteries would be running out quite soon. No. If her battery were to cut out by the time that we reached the Land Rover, then I would be able to bring her out of the city without having to worry about how she felt about it. Mr. Customer, she called out to me, sounding worried. If you're feeling tired, how about taking a little break? No, I'm fine. Is it still far until your car? No, we're almost there. That is good to hear. She again smiled sweetly. I gazed uneasily into the rain, feeling as if she had seen all the way through me. I thought about taking another swig from the whiskey bottle, but I eventually decided against it. I had already been drunk well past my limit even before I had encountered that bottle of whiskey. The face of that old drunkard partner of mine suddenly came to mind. Do not talk to it. It is not a thing that is of this world. I had not heeded that advice, and it may well have been that the time for me to pay the price for not listening was nigh. What was I to do with her? What exactly was I planning on doing with her? Unable to find an answer to these questions, I simply walked into the midst of the rain. I don't want her to die. Stop. Yes, acknowledged. The precise sound of her footsteps vanished that instant. Wait here. I'll return in 3 minutes. Where will you be going? I need to go to the bathroom. Understood. I will be waiting here then. She simply smiled back warmly, as if my excuse were perfectly logical. Be quiet now. I reminded her once again as I checked the safety of my grenade launcher. Maintaining as low a profile as I could, I made my way under the shadow of rubble. Just as I had thought, this alley connected back up to the main street that stretched past the front of the train station I had seen on my way in. The totally abandoned road continued straight for about 300 meters and then abruptly ended in a barricade, and after that the town itself abruptly ended. This was the buffer zone. At the time of the entrenchment of the city as a fortress, the slums that had originally been here had all been demolished to give the machine tools space to work. This also served to make the detection of intruders easy. To that end, the few buildings that were left standing were appropriated as watchtowers. The flat earth, as boggy as a swamp, was expressionlessly reflecting the lead-colored sky. A wind was blowing through its midst, and beyond that there was an enormous reinforced concrete wall out of the mist. The only way out was through the rift in the quarantine wall caused by the kamikaze strike of an autonomous assault mech. It was through here that I had entered the town. The alcohol I had imbibed suddenly made its presence felt. As I shifted positions, I felt a stabbing sharpness within my stomach. I took my binoculars out of my backpack and twirled the focus ring. There was something that was being pounded on by the rain. An old combat mech. A four-legged walker, it stood before the rift in the quarantine wall, its spikes driven into the sludge. The slightly elevated gun turret and the sensor radome mounted to its side, and the barrel of the railgun so large that it bordered on misshapen that projected from the other end. Not an energy module or an attendant loader mech in sight. In other words, it was in solo operations mode. Its turn signals and its brake lights, totally unbecoming on an autonomous weapons platform, were evidence that it had been manufactured during a time when human law still existed. Its twin machine guns, purposed for proximity defense, were swiveling in anticipatory sweeps. A fiddler crab. An MK-43LE autonomous fire support mech. That was its official designation, but during the war, just about everyone called it a fiddler crab. Its external frame constructed for heavy towing, its reinforced rear legs, and its unique barrel jacket mechanism were the specific characteristics that gave it the LE designation. I'm not sure the LE is, sorry. Unlike the Menschenjägers I had met on the way in, this mech was not a rampant warmonger manufactured and unlined at one of the myriad autonomous airborne factories that had once filled the skies. No, this was part of the vanguard of DEFARS, the autonomous defense line first deployed when the city was first quarantined. It had the ability to fire just about any kind of bullet with insulated coating into the far distance at hypersonic speed. There was no way for infantry to fight against such a powerful, heavy mechanized unit. But it did not have manual override controls. If one could capture it, then one could turn it into one's own personal hunter-killer tank. More than anything else, a certain death awaited anyone foolish enough to try. If means had ever been developed to neutralize the man-made bacteria, these cities would then become valuable strategic points over which large-scale battles would be fought. This fellow was probably left here as a trump card in case such an eventuality should occur. It continued to go about its duties now, regardless of the fact that while it had hibernated, the entire world had changed, and the things that it had been tasked to protect had long since been eaten away by time and the rain. A certain kind of awe arose within me at the sight. "Mr. Customer, may I ask a question?" "What?" "What is that thing that you're looking at?" "An autonomous fire support mech. Why is it here, of all places?" "Wait, why are you here? I told you to wait where you were." "Sir, 3 minutes had passed, and you did not return." "I get it, so be quiet." "Yes, acknowledged." She nodded obediently. "May I ask another question?" "You may ask, but whether I can answer or not is an entirely different matter." "This road is quite different from the record in my database. Has it been undergoing construction?" "It's just as you see it." "Then is that thing over there some matter of construction machinery?" "It's a fiddler crab." "And what does that mean?" "It's something similar to you." "And what does that mean?" "Look, just shut up for a second." I surveyed the scene with my binoculars once again. Where had it come from? When I had entered the city, there had been no indication that there was any autonomous defense patrol activity in the area. Does anybody first of all, has anyone here played this before? And second of all, does anybody know how much of this is left? Because I do have to go soon. But if we're almost done, I don't know if I should stop. Because, I guess, like, it depends on how much is left. No idea, sorry. I don't know if anyone here has played it. Time for my input? I have no idea at all. Hope that helps. I don't know, it might be safer to stop. Yeah. It's getting really interesting. I mean, it was really interesting the whole time. But I guess if there isn't that much and I just have a short stream tomorrow, we could like always chat after stream to make the stream a little longer. We could talk about the game and all the interesting topics it brought up. 4 hours, 40 minutes on autoplay, so I'm thinking 6 to 8 hours. Oh, so we probably... So it's probably going to be another stream, right? I think. I'm guessing. Well... Another 1 or 2 streams. Yeah, we can just chat if it's over soon. Yeah, we can just chat. I always stretch at the end of stream and then I make noises. Sounds good for me. Okay, I'll see you guys again tomorrow then at 9 again. What are my days off this week? I'm gonna try to stream on my days off. Well, for my most recent day off, I have the 7th off, but that's my stepmom's birthday. So, well, it's not her birthday, but it's the day we're doing her birthday party, because Amiko and I have off that day. So I probably won't be able to stream on the 7th. I might be able to, depending on what time I get back. But I'm going to check really quick to see what my other day off is this week. Because we're probably going to do a stream on that day. Let's see. Maybe, I'm not sure what game I stream on. I have the 10th off. Okay. So, I might be able to do a longer stream on the 10th, because I actually have off that day. But yeah, but tomorrow I'll stream more of this at 9, and maybe we'll finish it, and maybe not. And I'll probably do a longer game on the 10th. Maybe Hades, I'm not sure. But thank you, everybody, for showing up today. It was a really fun stream. This game is really interesting. I was feeling really emotional when she showed the, oh, my throat made a weird noise. when she showed the stars. I feel like this game is just gonna keep being super interesting. I'm excited for tomorrow. I don't think I have anything else to say. I always don't want to say goodbye. But bye bye everybody.